99.3 Nigeria Info. Very good morning to you. If you're just joining the morning Crossfire, well, it's time to look at the stories making into the front of the pages today. I'm Wemimo Adewuni, and we're live on Facebook, also on Twitter. You can watch us also on YouTube. Anywhere you like, and you can see us on your devices and also leave us your comments there. Would also be you can watch us or listen rather to us on our website. It's www.nigeriainfo.fm, and you can also leave us your comment on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. Thank you for joining us again. I have on the show with me this morning Achike Chude. Achike,
good morning.
Good morning. Now, let's kick start with the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is our media partner on 99.3 Nigeria Info, and we have a story here which is also across other papers that you can find today. This one says Article 6 probe into alleged secret burial of 1,000 soldiers. Says the report is shocking. National emergency. No hidden graveyards in Northeast. Military insists. Urges public to dismiss sacrilegious impression. You find this story making the banner headline on the Punch. Controversy over alleged secret burial of 1,000 soldiers. 3 riders on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Military said my brother was fighting on battlefront, says relative. Fallen soldiers given heroes burial, not in secret graves, says DHQ. Article furious demands commission of inquiry into allegations. And we also have a similar headline on the front page of the Punch. Federal government places Amnesty Nigeria under watch lists. Front page of the Daily Trust, DHQ denies secret graveyards in Northeast as Article demands probe. We also find it on the front page of some other papers this morning, including the Vanguard newspaper. Terror war. Army denies secret burial of 1,000 soldiers. It makes a banner headline also on the Daily Independent. Army buries 1,000 soldiers in secret cemetery at night. This is a report. And the DHQ replies there are no secret graveyards in the Northeast. Article urges judicial inquiry, says Nigerians are entitled to know the truth. The story also makes it to the Daily Times. DHQ dismisses report on secret graveyards in the Northeast. Wow. Achike.
Yeah, well, that has made the front lines, the front pages in most of the newspapers. It's a very grave allegation. And I think it's not just, it will not suffice for the military to believe that it is enough to deny the allegation. This is an allegation, I think, that came from a report, a comprehensive report, investigative report done by the Wall Street Journal. And it was not just a report that was also based on verification of they spoke to with people, had live interviews, and names were given. So it's not as if like the issue of that of the journalist that said the army had told him that the brother was fighting in the front lines, only to see the brother being killed, I think in a video. Mm-hmm. A woman also asked to see the remains of her husband, and she said she was taken to a gravesite somewhere with the name of somebody written, of the husband written on a plastic bottle.
Wow.
Yeah.
On a plastic
bottle? Yeah,
bottle?
on a plastic bottle, yes. Marking the gravesite. And so, this is horrible. It is not as if we have not been hearing stories about how our soldiers are being treated in terms of their welfare packages, allowances are not being paid, and then you now have a chief of army staff that says that our soldiers are cowardly, which goes
and they
against...
are the reason we're not winning the war.
We're not winning the war. And of
insurgency.
course, any Nigerian who is familiar with the history of the Nigerian soldiers and participation in battles all over the world will tell you that we have some of the bravest soldiers in the world when it comes to fighting in the war front. And so it is critical that we look at what is going on. This is not an allegation that will be taken with a pinch of salt.
Why is our first reaction always a denial? I mean, is this the right thing to do? Like, just to save the integrity of the army?
We know that armies everywhere, it's not just in Nigeria, have this funny way of going about their business. They can be very, very secretive, especially when you have a quasi-democracy like we have in Nigeria. Today, the tendency to exacerbate the level of secrecy is always very, very high. But you would expect a different kind of reaction from the army. You would expect them to say, look, this cannot be true, but we're going to investigate. And I think what Atiku is asking for is a panel of maybe a commission, a panel of inquiry. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The reality is that Nigerians have been regaled with stories about the way Nigerian troops are being treated on the front line. Their allowances are not being paid. The other time, some time ago, there was a video of soldiers on the streets of Borno protesting the maltreatment by the army authorities. And of course, what did you expect? The army came and denied it, and in most cases they will tell you that these are fake soldiers. But Nigerians are no longer, deceived.
And true be told, Nigerians need to know. A panel
we
of inquiry will set everything right.
The fact that some of them are being treated shabbily, even while they are alive. It's just like Nigerians too, ordinary citizens. So you can imagine what happens to a soldier that has been killed in battle.
And I think the army should be interested in knowing what's really happening.
Beyond that is the fact that there's an acknowledgement even in that report that soldiers are being buried without the consent or without the knowledge of their loved ones, of their families. That is exceedingly very, very wrong. People who have paid the supreme sacrifice, the least you can do is to make sure that you package their bodies
and send them
properly
home.
And send them back home where they can be given decent burials. This is what is expected. So when you treat them in this manner, then what exactly are you telling Nigerians about the worth of the life of every Nigerian soldier?
Well,
it is exceedingly very, very wrong.
Sincerely,
and it's reprehensible if it is true. But like I said, it should be investigated.
That's right. Investigation will tell us exactly what is happening. Let's see this next story on the front page of the Daily Sun. Aftermath of proscription, Shiites saying no retreat. El-Zazaki's daughter explodes, says group will continue protests. You have this making the banner headline on the Daily Sun. The story is also reported on the Vanguard newspaper on the front page. Shiites protests will go on until El-Zazaki is free, says daughter. You find this on the Vanguard. It's also the banner headline on the Daily Times. Shiites, we will continue with protest until El-Zazaki is freed, says daughter. Protest to hold today in Abuja, she vows. Disowned spokesman and statement on protest suspension. Wow. Achike.
Well, it's a serious matter. Obviously, there seems to be a little bit of division on how to approach the continued incarceration of El-Zakzaky. Of course, the courts have come in and declared the organization illegitimate. That has been causing a lot of furore in the country. Too many people have not been impressed with the pronouncement of the court. A court that has not even insisted that decisions that it has taken with regards to the release of the same matter with regards to El-Zakzaky must be obeyed. And so you have the impression that the court is cowering under either is being intimidated or for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But again, we have seen this is exactly what we have said. It's not just about making sure that the rule of law is obeyed, but it must be seen that to every Nigerian that the rule of law is being obeyed, not just by the ordinary citizens when courts make pronouncement, but by the government of the day that has the greatest duty and responsibility and obligation to ensure that the laws of the country are obeyed. And so obviously the people now feel that the courts are heavily biased against them, and that is a very dangerous impression to have. So I mean, the issue is what is the worst thing that can happen to members of the IMN? While they were not proscribed, they were operating openly, they were being killed. So if you now ban them, what happens to them? They will still be killed.
Which is my fear. But what happens here? I mean, the daughter says protests will continue. The IMN asked for a suspension of the protest until the hearing today, because there's a hearing on the case today. But the daughter says she doesn't agree with the spokesperson. So if there is a protest in Abuja today, it will be a personal one. It's not on the platform of the IMN. It's El-Zazaki's daughter making a protest.
Well, there's that possibility. There's a way of,
but then will the police see this?
No, obviously the police is not going to, because they are going to be, whether it's being organized by El-Zakzaky's daughter, it will seem to be something that is being done under the platform of the IMN.
But the IMN made a public call for
the IMN has come out openly, to acknowledge the ruling of the court and to say, look, they are going to go back to the court. And but then the reality is that once El-Zakzaky's daughter speaks from that perspective, anybody very closely aligned with El-Zakzaky, you cannot remove that aspect, that association with Zaki and IMN. So that is where the the issue lies. But the reality is that whether the group is proscribed or not, it does not give the Nigerian security forces automatic leeway to just shoot live bullets into the crowd,
which is what I fear might happen. Yes.
To ensure that they operate under the ambits of the rules of engagement. That is their duty.
That is very important. I hope we do not have a situation where people will be killed.
Things are only going to get worse, because let me tell you, if they go along that line, eventually some of these people will say, look, having a non-violent approach to this whole issue is not going to work. We have tried every peaceful means and we have been slaughtered in the process. So let us look at the other way. Even if that happens, at least we're also going to die. So there's no difference. So I would expect the government to be more circumspect. And like I said, ultimately, at the end of the day, this is not a matter of criminality right now with Zaki. It has become a political issue. It long became a political issue. And so once it is a political issue, you would expect that the government will recognize that and begin to look at the process for sitting down to talk with these people. We had, for instance, the issue of the littoral states and the oil wells that we had in some parts of the country. At a time, it went to court. Some states went to court. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the government looked at it and said, look, this is a political issue. Let us look at it
and find a way to resolve it. Let's look at another issue making it to the front pages today. You find this headline here on the front page of the Daily Independent. Northwest governors grant amnesty to cattle rustler and armed bandits. It's also reported on the Daily Sun. Surrender your weapons, Northern governors tell bandits. Also proscribe local vigilante group as measure to resolve security crisis. On the front page of the Daily Times, Northwest governors grant amnesty to cattle rustlers and others. Right here, police to prosecute anyone caught killing innocent people engaging in kidnapping. We talked about this story about last week. Our newsroom from Kano gave us this story. So the condition given by these rustlers and bandits to surrender their weapons is that the governors would ask the vigilante, would sack about 6,000 vigilante members, and then they would drop their weapons. Is this not counterproductive?
It's a comedy of errors and contradiction and absurdities. The reality or the message you are sending out strongly is that crime pays. And these are people that have slaughtered human beings, people that have been social deviants in the engagement with the communities which they find themselves. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, what is the process of engagement of these people? What are the things that they brought on the table? What did they tell the government or these governments in the north as that are their grievances? And how were they able to resolve these grievances so that the issues that led to their banditry in the first place will no longer come up? So we have not been
One of the things the governor said is that those of them who are illiterate will be trained in skills. Those who are educated would be given jobs. But if you're giving jobs to these bandits, of course, we're mopping up the weapons out on the road and maybe reducing banditry. But then you have vigilante members who've been trained in handling weapons who are then jobless. So it's a cycle, isn't it?
I wish the governments of the North look for this decision they have taken. But the reality is that you have told the vigilantes who have been engaging these unwholesome characters that crime pays. And all you need to do is just to carry guns. And that is what we are beginning to see against, in this country, that who dares, who wins. You carry arms against the Nigerian state, and then the Nigerian state sees you as a formidable force that has to be negotiated with. In some instances, you have to pay them money. And when you pay them the money, they reinforce themselves, they build up their armaments and their wherewithal and ability to fight back and make themselves more formidable.
Some other people get inspired and then they go start their own militia.
That is the other side too. Some other people will definitely get inspired. A lot of people have been inspired by the activities of the kidnappers, for instance, who people doing this are known to have been maybe never do well in the society. All of a sudden, they come into loads of money, buy cars and the rest. And so they inspire other people too.
How well could we have handled this issue? What could the northern governors have done instead?
I'm even finding it very strange that, it's coming too late in the day. But then the reality is that, it's never too late to do the right thing. But this banditry has been going on for quite some time. All these insurgencies have been going on in the north for quite some time. they have not, I can't remember any time, prominent northern statesmen, and governors from the north actually told these people under arms to lay down their arms. I can't remember any time that it has happened. So you tend to ask yourself what exactly is going on. Now nobody is safe anymore, and they do not have the kind of environment that is needed for peaceful governance. So they are now beginning to feel the heat. The reality is that a monster has been created that they can no longer recall.
Remember that the northern governors, there was a report that they were having a Canada security summit, the northern governors. Could this be a consensus drawn from that summit to say, let's do a swap, bring your arms, let's ask them to bring their arms, and then we're free, let's just do anything they want just to stop banditry at any cost at all.
It cannot be at any cost, because for instance now you're going to throw about 8,500 militias who have been containing and making perhaps the states a little bit safer. And the fact that the bandits themselves made this as a condition precedent.
You understand? Sounds really off.
Tells you that the activities of the militias had become a problem for them, the bandits. So what the government has done is to accommodate the interests of the bandits
while
against
opening
the interest
the door
of the people who were fighting the bandits.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Let's head over to
anomaly.
Edo State. Front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Edo, APC PDP tango over Senate's order to Obaseki. You find this on the front page of the Vanguard. And on the Daily Independent, Edo Assembly crisis, Oshomole planning to stop Obaseki's second term, says Speaker. Why are we talking about second term when you know?
It's amazing that the man who said he hated Godfathers, in a way has put himself in a position where he's now being regarded as a Godfather. This is a part of the hypocrisy of the human person. And it's unfortunate, but again, the issue is that the matter is in court, and we would expect that the matter would be adequately dispensed by the court. So let everybody sheath their swords.
Yeah, just head over to the court.
Yes,
go settle it there.
Yeah.
Let's see this next story. Presidential poll: Buhari APC closed defense at tribunal. It's gradually winding up. On the front page of the Daily Independent, also, Presidential Tribunal, Buhari APC closed defense after calling 7 witnesses. Judgment day to be fixed on August 21.
Two contrasting their positions.
Yeah.
The PDP presented about 80-something witnesses, did not have enough time to present more witnesses, which they wanted. I think the process cut them short.
Yeah.
So they had to make do with the number of people that they presented. They had 10 days to do that. The APC had even less, 6 days, and within 2 days they have dispensed with their cases. It is significant, and I see a similarity between what the APC as a political party has done, cutting short what they needed, the number of days that they needed to make their case much stronger, with that of the INEC, that also all of a sudden refused to call any more witnesses to buttress their point. And they are saying still they have the confidence that they have done enough to win their case. So I hope it is not unnecessary arrogance on the part of the APC that they took 2 days to prove a case that...
if they think that there are 7 witnesses, we'll do justice. And they're sure that the evidence they're bringing...
But even with the witnesses they brought, even created bigger controversies.
Yes, they did yesterday. Some saying, we don't know about the WAEC.
Exactly, the WAEC, certificate, Cambridge assessment.
They modeled everything up.
The other man, Chiari also, the certificate that was presented was prepared. There's a lot of contradiction, really. But then again, we are not the judges. The judges will look at the case, hopefully, on their merit, less political interest. And then we'll see that. We hope that they'll come up with the right kind of judgment.
We can only hope and wait. The tribunal will fix his August 21 for adoption of addresses ahead of judgment. So it's gradually winding up. On the front page of the Nation newspaper, British MP lauds Nigeria's ease of doing business reforms. Osinbajo UK Secretary meets in Abuja. On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, Osinbajo seeks resolution of outstanding issues between Nigeria and the UK. We found this story also reported in other papers today, including the Daily Independent. Nigerians should see Brexit as an opportunity, says UK. And also on the Daily Times, China begins export of used cars from Guangdong to Nigeria, among others. So, international relations, Brexit, how do we maximize Brexit?
Well, it's an opportunity. I mean, the other time Theresa May came to Nigeria, I think she was trying to cut, they have been trying to make incursions into the country.
Yeah.
Because they are faced with a very serious situation. In their
And they'll be
hands.
looking for more trade
Unprecedented.
relations.
They are looking for partnerships.
Yes.
They are looking for, beyond Nigeria, the rest of Africa. So this is a time for countries to enter into bilateral relations with Britain and then multilateral relations. Africa coming as a bloc to engage the British government. There are opportunities, obviously, and so we must be ready to take advantage of these opportunities. But it's about also creating the right kind of environment. The discussion we had was it yesterday on the issue of the withdrawal or withholding of forex to people wanting to import milk into the country. You realize that the consensus from that discussion yesterday is the fact that you need to put certain things on ground,
Yes.
certain structures on ground in this country. So you cannot just wish all overnight.
Wish it away or wish that local production would just increase.
Like that on their own without
No.
doing anything concrete to ensure that it does happen that way.
We must wrap it up right now on the front pages. Thank you all. We see lots of comments on Facebook. Let me read some of them. Let's see this one from... okay. Dr. Amanambu Uchena says, amnesty by the Northwest governors to bandit rustlers. Sometimes these measures can backfire. I mean, it can embolden other would-be criminals. However, if that would bring peace, so be it. But as long as our borders are still porous, politicians keep recruiting jobless youth for electoral banditry. He goes on and says justice is the answer to all these quagmires. We also have a comment from Bolao Akimbami who says Achike is spot on the secret burial of our gallant officers. Egwim Stanley says we all know things are not right with this country. And we have a comment also with Bolao Akimbami who says IMN test of will, we shall see. Charles Obechi Abuchi says it is high time this allegation of secret burying of over 1,000 patriotic Nigerian soldiers should not be swept under the carpet. Investigation must take its course. Thank you all for joining us on the front pages. When we come back from this break, we have a full hour of conversation on the Morning Crossfire, and we're looking at maternal mortality and traditional birth attendance. We're having one traditional birth attendant joining us on the show, as well as a journalist from the Wole Soyinka Center to share with us her story on maternal health on the show today. That will be after the break. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. Achike Chude will still be here with us on the conversation, but thank you. We'll see you again shortly.